Hello and welcome to your Thursday Loose Lunch, keeping you company right through to 1:30 today. It's Linda Robson, Nani Sawala.
Oh my God, this is going well.
Told you jet lag. And Jane Moore coming up. We know the song Stand By Your Man, but what about Stand By Your Ex? Johnny Depp's face apparently lit up when he saw former girlfriend Kate Moss give evidence in his defamation trial. So should you always be there for an ex? She doesn't look that excited to be there, I have to say. And with the Sue Gray report finally released, we've got one of Boris Johnson's fiercest critics live in the studio to react to it. Deputy Leader of the Labour Party, Angela Rayner, is here, and she will not be holding back with her thoughts. She'll also be telling us how her tough childhood made her the politician that she is today. And at 1:15, trouble in Teletubby land. Should the dad of the child who shattered this Teletubby statue in a toy shop pay for the damage? Are you singing along there?
She's singing Teletubby.
Lovely. There it is. It cost thousands of pounds of that, apparently. Disaster. Right, OK. Sue Gray's report into Partygate was finally released yesterday. Of course, it's on the front of all the front pages. We've got the Mirror, who says that the government is laughing at us, and the Mail, who says, is that it? In the House of Commons yesterday, this is what Boris Johnson had to say.
I also want to say, Mr. Speaker, above all, that I take full responsibility for everything that took place on my watch. Sue Gray's report has emphasised that it is up to the political leadership in Number 10 to take ultimate responsibility, and of course I do. But now that she has reported, we will be able to move on and focus on the priorities of the British people.
So the Prime Minister wants us to move on. Nadia, are you ready to move on?
Do you know what? I actually just made Jane check my pulse because I see him and literally my pulse goes...
I think it's lust.
Oh, God, lust for what? Just yet again, just how he can dare bumbling on about how humble he feels while, again, blaming everybody else. He didn't know. Honestly, I feel sick to my stomach. And yet again, yesterday, I got so many messages from people just remembering what it was like for them on this date and that date and what they were and were not allowed to do. Can I just give you a few highlights? Vomiting, excessive boozing, fisticuffs, partying until 4 a.m. before Prince Philip's funeral, broken swing, Secret Santa, cleaning security staff bullied, red wine on walls, karaoke, sitting on laps, and we seem to have got away with it from Martin Reynolds. So if one more politician tells me how to feel and to move on, I don't... Listen, I'm not ready to move on.
I know, and the thing is, you're apoplectic, and there's a large section of the country is apoplectic. There's also a large section of the population that says, you know what, I'm fed up, I've had it, we all did a bit of this, who's not bothered. Linda, I know you are a Boris Johnson fan.
I am. Well, I live in Islington, and I've seen Boris loads of times. He's always riding around on his bike, and we used to stop and have a chat and everything. And I do believe that not all of it was his fault. A lot of the time, like when it was his birthday, I think his wife turned up with a cake, and I don't think he knew that was going to happen. There were going to be people there, there were going to be drink there. And you just think, with what's going on in the world, can't we just forget about it all now? Beergate, Partygate, Ukraine, we've got Texas, all those children killed.
But that is it, isn't it? We're now at a stalemate, aren't we, Jane? You know, this has been rumbling on for long. There's no real surprises in the Sue Gray report. And here we are. We've got the two sides of it.
But
Linda
you used
making
to like
excuses.
Him, didn't you?
You're going crazy.
Boris, yeah.
But he's got something, whether you like him or not. He's got something. And that's what fascinates me, Linda. Why do you like him? What do you see in this man that Nadia clearly doesn't see?
Well, I just think, like, what happened with COVID, no one could ever have expected this to happen, like 2 years ago, that we'd all be in lockdown, we'd all be stuck in our houses, we couldn't get out of the house or anything. So no one knew how to react.
They were having parties.
So no one knew how to react or what was right, or sometimes we did things that we shouldn't have done because every day the rules would change or whatever. And I've just spoke to him and I just really like him. I think he's a really decent man.
And that's the thing about him, isn't it? He has an 80-seat majority because he has something that nobody can quite put their finger on.
What is it?
Because if you think about it, apart from Partygate, there's many aspects to Boris's character and personality that under scrutiny do not really hold up. And yet people still voted for him because, like Linda, they like him. And there's still a lot of people out there who think, oh...
Well, you've met him. Do you like him?
It's very difficult. He's great to have a comment. He's a lot more serious, actually, that I have found than the person that I see sometimes on... I've had a couple of quite long one-on-one conversations with him, and he's not sort of bumbling at all.
Because it's an act.
I don't know if it's
Nadia,
an act.
you used to love him.
It's an alter ego. I didn't used to love him because, I mean, I've never been a Tory, but out of a bunch...
How's your pulse?
It's not good. I actually did fall for all this. I actually think he was incredibly smart. I loved how quick he was. I loved him on What's the Show? I can never remember the name of.
Have I Got News
Have
for
I
You?
Got News for You? That's what he should have stuck with, I think. I think he was a great presenter of that. And I actually did fall for this sort of bumbling, doesn't mean any harm. And I have just watched over the years, I have watched it break down. It's an act. And the first time I thought, oh my God, I've been stitched up like a kipper here, was when he did that dreadful article in the Telegraph where he used he likened the burqa to the letterbox. And I just thought, oh, hang on a minute, what's going on here?
But you still voted for him?
No, I never voted for him for anything.
Well,
I wouldn't vote for him.
all of that you're mentioning happened before he got an 80-seat majority.
Oh, no, but I never voted.
No, but what I'm saying is people in this country gave him an 80-seat majority.
Yeah.
Despite knowing that.
Because
The
I
one
think he's
feel a
brilliant
little
at
bit
pretending.
sorry for.
He's a
And
liar.
he, I think, ultimately, at the moment, he will survive because what's the alternative?
Exactly.
But I do feel a bit sorry for Rishi Sunak in that photo because he got fined and he's literally just leaning on the back of a chair at a 2-metre distance in his workplace, having arrived for a meeting.
Well, I must admit, I don't agree with that because I think what is different now is that up until this point, we have been looking at isolated incidents. And we're going to speak to Angela Rayner about Beergate because let's not forget that she and Keir Starmer are being investigated by Durham police. But these are isolated incidents that are being analysed in detail like that one. But I think what we get from the Sue Gray report is that there was an ongoing culture, and there's a difference between a misdemeanour and a culture. That's just the way it was. That was a level of acceptance. That was just it. And that is, for me, a big leap. But nonetheless,
and you do feel, don't you, that that culture would not have thrived under Theresa May. I think one of Boris's biggest faults is that he wants everybody to like him. So he doesn't want to come in and be the person that goes...
Yeah,
you know.
I'm just trying to see what kind of comments we've got. We did do a poll on this. Are you ready to move on from Partygate? And it's 60% no.
Good.
And 40% yes, which is still pretty finely balanced, but nonetheless, 60% no. Alison, when you get the rule makers breaking the rules, there should be consequences. My mother-in-law died on her own because these people said nobody was allowed to be with her. I will never forgive him. And then Diane, and here we go. This is the same debate that we've had here. I know he's done a stupid thing, but we've got more issues to deal with, such as the cost of living and the war.
Why can't they do more than one thing at one time? This is what I don't understand. We keep saying we can't think about this because we've got to think about... He's supposed to be educated in one of the top schools in the country, and yet he can't do more than one thing at one time.
Well, and equally, we don't live in a presidential system. We've got a parliamentary democracy. Give us somebody else that can do it.
Yeah.
But there you go.
Oh,
anyway.
come on, girls. We've all had a nice drink. It's time to move on.
No, it is not.
No, I want the karaoke machine, and then I might be sick and have a wee fight and break a swing when I'm at it. Now, the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard trial continues, and the star witness took to the stand. Johnny's ex, Kate Moss, appeared via video link to defend Johnny, tearing up Amber's claims of a rumour that he once pushed Kate down the stairs.
Did Mr. Depp push you in any way down the stairs?
No.
During the course of your relationship, did he ever push you down any stairs?
No. He never pushed me, kicked me, or threw me down any stairs. We were leaving the room, and Johnny left the room before I did, and there had been a rainstorm, and as I left the room, I slid down the stairs and I hurt my back.
I just love the way that she's from my manor. She's from Croydon. I love the act. I was just fascinated. Mark and I had a really big important meeting yesterday. We had to pause it to watch this because it's just so fascinating. I hate all this speculation about, he smiled for the first time and he's been smiling a lot through it, and should they get back together? I just think that this was just an amazing moment that they had this relationship. Apparently she was she's spoken about how heartbroken she was when he broke up with her. But, you know, she feels there's an injustice and she's come forward and she's spoken. So
I just find the whole
quite
thing
goosebumpy about it.
uncomfortable to watch. I haven't plugged into it at all. But I
well, then
just
you
think
can't say
I
anything
don't
if you
really
watch
want to
it.
see such intimate detail
It's
of
real sort of
somebody
really
dirty
weird.
laundry, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
in
a
public.
movie. It's
Yeah,
really
and
like-
these are really serious allegations here, but it has become kind of dramatised, you know,
Absolutely.
before our very eyes. But it's interesting, they obviously do have that relationship, despite the fact she was heartbroken. When he needs her, you know, she showed up, which not everybody would do. I mean, would you if, you know, an ex needed you to show up?
Yeah, if I think an ex had been wrongly accused of something, then I would definitely be there standing by him and that.
Yeah.
I mean, she's just clarifying that one instance, isn't she? If you remember when Amber Heard mentioned the rumour that he had pushed Kate Moss down the stairs, he and his lawyers kind of went,
They were like, wow.
because they knew then they could call Kate Moss to rebut.
Oh, Kate Moss.
Yeah, Kate Moss hotline. And you know, you never really hear her talk.
No.
So it is incredible to sort of see her appearing as her rather than a cover
Pure
star.
Hollywood.
But she, you know, all she had to do was just turn up and say, no, that's not true.
Yeah.
That relationship with an ex is interesting, though, isn't it? Because, you know, a lot of people, you're very friendly with so many of your exes.
How many have you had? I'm 60.
She never lets them go, not really.
Now I'm 60. I've had a few. Regrets, I've had a few. Yeah, because I think that when a relationship ends, you've had, you know, I think most of my ex-boyfriends were my friends first. And you don't lose a friend, you don't lose the friendship.
Oh, I do. I've got
and the commonality and the memories.
Got a bit of a bad taste in your mouth there, haven't you?
Well, I just think once it's done, it's done. You know, I couldn't go from having a liver to then just having a coffee.
So it's just about sex for you?
No, it's not just about sex.
No, let's make her say liver again.
I take many livers. No, I just... But having said that, if somebody I had meant anything to me, I felt was... you know, experiencing an injustice that she clearly did, I would 100% step up.
So you would turn up in court, but you wouldn't have a coffee with them?
No, after that, I'm straight home.
And especially if you've got a child with the ex, then obviously you'd be
very
there for that
different.
ex
You have to
because,
step all over yourself to be friends, I think.
Yeah. Still to come this lunchtime, Angela Rayner gives her view on the Sue Gray report, and we're talking about rip-off restaurants. But in just a minute, Harry Styles took the stage in London this week and used some rather naughty words in front of his mum. But at what age is it okay for your kids to swear in front of you? We're talking about that next.
In this world, it's just us. You know it's not the same.
He's automatic, he's systematic, he's hydromatic. Tomorrow, we'll be joined by the lovely Peter Andre, who'll be telling us all about his starring role in the West End production of Grease. Plus, he'll be joining his castmates to perform some of the musical's best-known songs. He's the one that we want, Peter Andre, tomorrow from 12:30 on Loose Women.
Good to see you again. Coming up, should parents pay if their kids damage something in a shop? Why the dad of the child who smashed this giant Teletubby was landed with a very hefty bill. And Deputy Labour leader Angela Rayner won't hold back, as you would expect, when she gives her view on the Sue Gray report into parties in Downing Street. Time now for the competition, and there is a two-part prize package up for grabs. It includes a brand new motorhome and £40,000 tax-free cash. Lisa's in Southend with all the details. Hi, Lisa. Woo!
Hello, ladies. Yes, I am in Leon C in Southend. We are in Essex and we are having a celebration because it's the Queen's Jubilee next weekend. We're all really excited, aren't we? It's going to be big here in Southend. We're also, of course, celebrating the fact that you guys have a chance to win a double prize package. So it all starts with £40,000 in tax-free cash. That is a lot of money. But not only that, but you get to win this too. Take a look at that little bad boy. This gorgeous motorhome, you guys are amazing, is worth over £66,000. So this is a double prize package worth over £100,000. That is amazing. One lucky person is guaranteed to win the lot. Just imagine the adventures you could go on with this motorhome in your life and 40k in the bank. Well, you could have a chance of winning it. All you got to do, pick up the phone, get entering now. It's really easy, isn't it? Yeah. So what are you waiting for? Get involved. Do it now. Can I have a chip?
Text price to 81119. Calls cost £2 plus one standard network rate message. Go to the website, entries cost £2. Call 09068 78119. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and phone number to DY21 PO Box 7558 Derby DE10NQ. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close on Friday the 10th of June at 3 p.m. Good luck.
Oh, can I just say, I love Leonsea. It's one of my favourite places.
You were getting all dewy-eyed there.
regularly. I know, yeah. I might go down there this weekend if the weather's nice.
They sell donkeys. They still do that.
No, I haven't seen any donkeys.
Donkey rides.
There's a few donkeys on here, though, isn't there?
Beg your pardon.
Now, at what age do you let your kids say naughty words in front? That was good. I like that. 28, if you're pop star Harry Styles, he's back in Britain and he used some colourful language on stage in front of his mum. Bless him. He shouted out sorry to his mum who was watching in the crowd. So it did make us think, what age are you comfortable with your kids swearing in front of you? So Jane, are you relaxed about it? Are you strict?
My kids don't really swear. My problem is Gary, who,
we know that,
who
Jane.
uses swear words like you might use and or and the or commas. He just swears
He
all the
punctuates
time.
his language with
And like
swearing.
when I first met him, he was in the music industry, and obviously I'm a journalist, so I'm used to hearing fruity language, as you might call it, in the kind of the workplace. But sometimes in the family home, it's probably what we argue about more than anything else, because I will go, will you please, like in the middle of Sunday lunch? And it's not...
Would he swear in front of your mum?
Yeah, but he doesn't do it sort of like, it's not like really
Not
angry.
aggressive.
No, but it's just floated
I
in
never
there.
realised you felt funny about that, because obviously he does swear all the time. We've been at your house. I've never seen you tell him off.
Well, I probably wouldn't if you were there, but I like at
Well, I'm
Sunday
actually deeply
lunch,
offended. I wish you would.
At Sunday lunch, I'm like, there are other words in the dictionary.
Yeah.
But we're just so weird about swearing, in that some places it's acceptable, some places it's not. With some people,
Don't you
it's
think
acceptable.
it loses its power when
you swear?
do it all the time? Yeah, but when
does
I
it when it's
swear,
necessary.
you know I mean it.
Do you think your kids have got... Do you think it's a bit like aversion therapy? And
Yeah.
he did, because my mum was one of those, never swore. She was obviously swearing behind our backs, because now she just never stopped swearing. But to the point where she would, threaten the washing the mouth out with soap, and we swear like...
Does anyone really do that?
Yeah,
I've had it done
they
to me a
do.
few times.
Have you?
Yeah. Secondary school, I got caught swearing, and Mr. LaCayla took me in the toilet and made me wash my mouth out with soap. And when we were doing a competition on here, I thought it was a rehearsal, and I swore
Imagine
on
that now.
And then Andy Peters was going to wash my mouth out with soap and water.
We wouldn't have let him. We wouldn't have let him.
Well, of course, you do it on television. I mean, but that's the thing, on television, the language is really strict, because you don't want to offend people. And then you walk past a bus stop and you can eat a right old kind of say it, can't you? And I actually remember exactly the first time I heard my dad ever swear. And he was obviously swearing away generally. I was 15, we were in the car, and I think my mum had done something and made it. And he banged the dashboard and he said a bad word. And it was a big deal, because
That's
for
what I mean.
15 years,
Yeah.
Did it
I'd
upset
never
you?
once...
Was it shocking that he did?
No, I was fed up with it as well. But it was a big moment, whereas my kids probably hear me swear quite a lot, which is
I
good.
swear quite a lot, but I wouldn't want my grandchildren swearing. So I try not to swear in front of them, and if it does come out, they go, Nan, you've said a bad word again. And I go, I said chicken hell, not the other hell, or whatever. But my mum never swore. My mum was Catholic Irish, and I never ever heard her swear in all the years that she was around and that. And especially on a Sunday, because we used to go to church, she used to dress us all up in her nice clothes and everything, take us to church. You weren't allowed to play cards on a Sunday, and you definitely weren't allowed to swear on a Sunday. Otherwise, I would have been in big trouble. But as you know, I do swear quite a lot. But it's never aggressive swearing. I never go, oh, you, or whatever. I just...
Yeah, see, that's the difference
my
for me.
vocabulary,
I actually prefer the punctuation swearing.
Yeah.
Because, it's just a form of language. I don't like swearing when there's aggression behind it.
Yeah, I never do that.
And so that whole thing about don't use it too much because then it will have power. I don't like swearing to have power. Like Ian never swears really, and he gets really fed up with me because I swear in front of the kids and he's all tisky. And on the very odd occasion that he would swear, I I don't like it because I think, oh, you must be awful
I think
upset.
it's delicious swearing. I know I shouldn't say that, but I just love it.
I like it too.
I've always loved it. And I don't know whether it's because it was so banned when I was a kid, but I also think in the acting world, actors do swear a lot more. So when I came into factual like this, I just felt like I stuck out like a sore thumb because I was just swearing all the time. You really feel it.
We used to get emails, didn't we, when we swore, like telling off emails.
I know.
Yeah.
And there was grades as well.
I'm laughing because you say in acting it's kind of common, and obviously we're going to be speaking to Angela Rayner after this. Can you imagine if in Westminster it was like okay to swear? There was license to swear.
Remember the thick of it.
Can you imagine the language that you would hear at Prime Minister's question time? It would be fantastic. Lots more to come. Should parents pay for their child's damage? And have you been left red-faced by a rip-off restaurant? But in just a moment, does Deputy Labour leader Angela Rayner think Boris Johnson's Partygate apology goes far enough? Strong views, but no swearing. From one of politics' most outspoken women, Angela Rayner, live and loose next. I think she won't swear, I don't know.
Okay.
Welcome back to your Thursday Loose Women, ready for another 30 minutes of news and views alongside me, Kay Adams. It's Linda Robson, Nadia Sawala and Jane Moore. Coming up, after one dad was forced to shell out hundreds after his son smashed a giant Teletubby figure, was the toy shop right to charge him? And restaurant rip-offs. Has being overcharged ever left you with a bad taste in your mouth? Well, no, but I did nearly get arrested, but more of that later. First, she is one of the most powerful women in Westminster who's found herself at the centre of some of the most talked about stories in politics recently. She's got a reputation for being fiery, outspoken, and never one to hold back on her honest opinions. So what does she make of the Sue Gray report? It's the Deputy Leader of the Labour Party, Angela Rayner.
Right.
Thank you. You've made it down the stairs. That's a good one.
And it's a bit of a surreal moment for me because my mum will be watching, so there'll definitely not any swearing. I'll say hi to my mum.
Oh, okay. So you don't swear in your house, no?
And not in front of my mum, I wouldn't, no. I mean,
I can't promise I won't today.
I mean, my children don't swear in front of me, but when they're getting ready for school, I can hear them swearing at each other. Like, they're teenagers now, so they are a bit potty-mouthed at 8 o'clock in the morning when it's all getting a bit tense.
And it really is weird. My youngest has just started swearing. It's the strangest feeling.
I know.
It's so odd.
And
you've got nowhere to go with it because you swear.
I know.
Anyway, did you swear when the Sue Gray report came out?
I tried not to, but I think the whole nation was pretty... First of all, was like, OK, we knew that something had gone on because we've been waiting a long time for it. But then when you saw that detail of, you know, the extent of the partying, the vomit on the floor, cleaners having to clean it up, being abused and wine up on the walls and 4 o'clock in the morning. And the
regularity, I think, every Friday, that was the thing that really...
Yeah, Wine Fridays.
Yeah. But, you know, from your point of view, there has got to be a time to move on, hasn't there? Because it's all out there. It's been rumbling for ages. Yes, there's a lot of people in the country who feel very angry about it, and you might have heard the discussion earlier. Nadia would be one of them. But, you know, Linda will be representative of a lot of the country who says, you know what, more important things to be going on with here. And we'll leave Beergate till later, but, you know, more important things going on here. You like him, Linda?
I do, yeah.
You would rather just move on. You've got to address the fact that whatever he does, a lot of people like this guy.
Yeah, and I think, you know, there has been, you know, when Boris Johnson was elected, he offered people what they wanted. You know, he was pretty clear about that. They thought it was quite refreshing. But I think one of the problems is that he's been proven to be a liar. And, you know, while somebody who's incompetent in office, certainly at a time when we had the pandemic. And I think it does create a problem when you set the bar so low as the Prime Minister of the country that you can literally break the law in office. And then it's like, oh, well, sorry, I didn't know about it. Everybody else is to blame.
Don't you think people factored in that part of his, let's put it kindly, personality before they vote? You know, he got an 80-seat majority and he's had that kind of behaviour in his past before.
Yeah, I think some of that was factored in, absolutely, for sure. And I think that was one of the reasons why some people thought, well, at least we know what we're getting. And they felt connected to him for that reason. You know, nobody's perfect. But I think now when you're the Prime Minister and you've got such serious issues going on both internationally and at home, it just seems like it's a massive distraction. We're just about today to have Rishi Sunak at the dispatch box to talk about how he's going to help with the cost of living. But people have been worried about this for ages, and all they've been doing is worrying about...
In a way, that's the argument for more moving on, isn't it, to tackle the cost of living?
And he did announce this morning £650 one-off payment for 8 million of the poorest homes and
That makes me so
300
angry. How long did
for
he know
8
he could
million
do that?
pensioners. That was Rishi Sunak who received winter fuel
But this is the thing. So, like, we waited for the Sue Gray inquiry. Boris Johnson got up at the dispatch box and said there was no parties. Then when he found out there was parties, said this is disgusting. There shouldn't have been parties. I'm appalled by it. Then when he found out that he was actually at the parties and we saw pictures of him toasting, it was like,
Angela,
it wasn't.
But it wasn't at all
It
of the
was-
parties. It wasn't in attendance at all of the
No, but
parties.
it was like quite a lot of them. And then he
you
said that they were
forgot-
leaving dues. But who could have leaving dues? There
No
was
one.
nothing in the regulation that said you can have a leaving due for somebody.
Okay,
You
so
forgot you were at the
let's-
miners' do,
that.
didn't
Let's
you?
go
You
to
forgot you were at the miners' do.
Beergate. Let's go
It
to
wasn't a minus do. I was working.
Yeah,
and
but let's
it
go to
was
Beergate,
pretty
because there
clear.
were months of denials by Sir Keir Starmer, who we had on the show, that you were there. And then
No, there wasn't months of denials.
Well-
What happened? I mean, there was social media pictures of me there. I literally put my profile picture because the miners'
No,
hall
but
to me is
he
like such a
came out
big
in public
event.
and said, denied that you were there. So what I want to know, what intrigues
No,
me...
he didn't. He didn't say I wasn't there. Some member of staff had said once that I wasn't there.
But whether- are
He
there
knew I
no-
was there
are
because
there
we
no-
literally did a video together
And
while I
then-
was there.
So why didn't he then correct it immediately?
Well, I'm not sure he didn't not correct it. I certainly, there's never been any point where I've said I'm not there. I literally put my profile picture of me in the miners' hall because those...
No, there's not been a point of you saying you weren't there, but you didn't really immediately stand up and say, oh, by the way, I was there too. Did you have curry? Did you have a drink?
I've literally always said that I was in Durham and I was at that event because it was part of the campaign. I mean, you can't hide it. There were people there.
Did you have a curry and did you have a drink?
I was there. I ate while I was there because
you ate the same curry.
We all I was
I do think there's a difference,
worked all
I have to
day.
say. I mean, I do
It's a
think there's a
vast
difference between a
difference.
culture that's been established and picking over the bones of something. And you have said that you will resign if the
Absolutely,
Durham police...
100%.
You still stand by that?
100%, because integrity matters. And this is why I'm so confident about it. I didn't see my granddaughter through that period. I had 2 relatives that died. We all suffered our own personal stories around it. I think that, you know what the bar is for me, is that if you start the rules, we were, as MPs, we said these are the rules, this is what you have to stick by. If you break those rules and you get a fixed penalty notice, you can't be in office. I can't be in office if I do that. It's not okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I just take you to something else?
I couldn't defend it. I couldn't literally be on this show and sat here, and if I thought I broke the rules, I could not defend it. Absolutely not, no. I couldn't look my friends in the eye who had their own personal sacrifice. I gave one of my friends my car because she had to get to work. She was a key worker. She worked in a supermarket. She had no way of getting to work. She had kids that needed to go to school because they were in school because she was a key worker. She had no way of getting to work. I gave her my car over that period. People went through a huge amount, and I totally understand that. And I couldn't look them in the eye. If I thought for 1 minute that I was toasting and laughing and
Are you worried?
enjoying myself.
Do you think you will get fined?
Absolutely not worried.
You're
no.
not worried?
No, because we were so diligent about it. I really wanted to see my granddaughter. I wanted to help my son look after her. He was working. He was furloughed for a while, and then, you know, him and his missus, they were having such difficult times because they had young kids, and, you know, it's hard work keeping indoors with a load of young kids. They didn't have a back garden. I've got a back garden. They couldn't come round as they normally do and let the kids run round in my back garden because they weren't allowed round. You know, people went through all of these personal sacrifices, and I think, you know, that's what's so triggering for people at the moment. Because everyone's really angry.
Very quickly, I do think a lot of people watching this won't see much difference between 15 people having a curry and a beer at the end of the day and somebody like having a beer and a piece of cake or whatever on their birthday.
I mean,
in their workplace.
the culture of it. There was so much partying every Friday, Wine Friday, and Boris Johnson says that he didn't know about it for months and months. He could have asked. I mean, if I was told that there was parties going on in my office for months, I'd be asking my team, "Did you have a party? And what the hell was going on?" I wouldn't need the police to investigate it
and cost the taxpayer $500,000 because you couldn't just admit it.
And then come to the dispatch box.
Well, we shall move on from this. He has apologised. And, you know, let's see what happens next. And this is a bit of a leap here, Andrew, so don't jump down my throat with it. In some ways, I was thinking about it. There's some kind of similarities between you and Boris Johnson. Wait for it. You're both very charismatic. You're both very likeable. You're both high achievers. You're both brought up in difficult family circumstances with mums with mental health issues. You had clearly not the financial privileges that he had, but, you know, it was a difficult upbringing, yeah?
Yeah, and you know, I was reflecting on this because a lot of people who are successful in life, they do have adversity in their childhood that kind of makes them, spurs them on. And I suppose one of the things is we're high achievers, but that's because we never quite feel we've achieved or we're good enough. So I'm never quite happy at what I've done. So I never look back and think, oh, you know, you've gone from being on a council estate, being a single parent at 16, and look what you're doing now. I always think, right, what have I got to do next? You know, I'm always thinking about the next moment, not to let myself down or
why I
to
think
let
it
people
will
down.
be a terrible shame if you do end up having to resign is that I do think you're incredibly relatable. And with the cost of living crisis that we've got coming up, you can say to people, I have been in your shoes.
Sure, and you know, absolutely, and I do understand that. And to be honest, I look at what I went through when I was a young mum at 16, but I had a council flat that I could go into and my rent was paid. I had income support, so I didn't have to go to a food bank. I visit food banks now on these nappies, you know, baby food and everything. It breaks my heart because the humiliation of having to go there to ask for it, that never gets spoken about. You know, it's like, it's that humiliation of I'm not good enough, I can't look after my kids. I was lucky that the state gave me that opportunity, and I went back into education and learnt sign language, which comes in handy now. But, you know, I had all those opportunities that, yeah, I was stigmatised as well. Believe me, people look at me now. If I go into certain buildings and the people look at me different, I'm still that 16-year-old mum. But when I was that single parent and I needed that support, people do look at you differently.
It was your nan that was your mainstay growing up, wasn't it? Your mum?
Yeah, because my mum couldn't read or write, you know, and she had bipolar, so she had real significant mental health problems. And looking at it now, I was always my mum, you know, from a really early age. The relationship, and it's still like that now, the relationship between me and my mum is one that I'm kind of the parent and have been all along, and my mum's always relied on me for that. So my nana really was the one that looked after us. You know, looking at the heating crisis now, I was just talking backstage before that we went to my nana's on a Sunday for a bath because my nan lived in high-rise flats. So her heating was on constantly in the hot water, where we had an immersion heater. And there's no way that we'd have put that immersion heater on because we couldn't afford it.
No.
And that's what people are facing again now, you know, and it's really sad to see that it's not even people like my parents were on benefits when I was younger. These are people that are actually in work as well. And, you know, that's what's really, that's the bit that I
get worse.
But that's the bit I get frustrated about, is that constant fear and humiliation, that constant fear of what am I going to do today, what am I going to do tomorrow, how am I going to get to work next week, because you've got to make your wages go a month. No one really gets paid weekly anymore. So you've got to go a whole month. How am I going to get my bus fare to get me to work? And then you're thinking, you know, that mental health, that feeling of constantly not being good enough and trying to beg, steal and borrow to get through your week is just, not only is it crippling for the parents that are in that situation, but I know how it felt as a child, and that's never left me. You know, I know how it feels to constantly worry about your parents, trying to hide them from some of it. So I wouldn't tell my mum if I was hungry, because I didn't want my mum to feel bad that I've not eaten. So I go around my mate's house and say, we ask your mum and dad if I can eat today, if I can come in for tea.
Will you support Rishi Sunak then in his £650 one-off payment for 8 million of the poorest households?
You know, from what I've heard, and I've not been in Parliament today, that it's not coming until October. Now, people need reassurance now that that help is there, because in October the bills are going up again. The chair of Ofcom
and
said,
it just I don't know what you think, but it just feels so manipulative that they should be announced today, the day after the Super Bowl, when everyone's been is worrying so much, and then it's announced today, and yet not until October.
Well,
So
exactly, and
it's
it could have been announced weeks ago.
Exactly.
It could have been announced weeks ago, but the cynical people will say, well, he's waited till now because of this, where the sequencing, and it is the government that decides the business in the House. So some of us that are cynical could think that's what they've done, but that to me is not the problem. The problem is they've left them weeks with people worrying sick. And I was a home help. And I know, and I remember it when I used to go to these really expensive houses in a posh area of the place where I lived, and I'd walk up as the home carer, and the little old lady would be sat in the kitchen with a hob on for an hour, and that would be her heating, and she'd live in that kitchen. She had a massive house, but she'd live in that kitchen because she said, I'm not going to spend that money on the bills. Now people are going to be these little old ladies and little old geezers now that are going to be in their houses freezing cold because they're worried sick about paying their energy bill.
Angela, you've got a Parliament to go to.
I've got to catch up on what happens.
Lots more coming up after this. Hello again. In just a moment, the reason this giant gold Teletubby has divided the internet. Are you inside that, Linda?
I am actually, yeah.
You might be, yeah.
It should be over my mouth, not over my eyes.
Going to get you that costume. Now back to the competition with Lisa, who is live in your favourite.
Yeah!
I love it too. The fish and chips have been amazing. Yes, we are here in Leigh-on-Sea in Southend. Here in Essex, we're having the best time ever. You guys have been incredible. Love you, love you, love you, love you. We're of course celebrating the fact that the Queen's Jubilee is next weekend. We are loving it. We've got little cuties here too. Little Bubba's only 2 months old. So listen, we're also celebrating the fact that you have a chance to win a brilliant double prize package worth over £100,000. So first up, £40,000 in tax-free cash could be winging its way to you. That is tax-free. That could be in your bank this year. But not only that, look at this motorhome. It is amazing. Oh my God. Okay, so it sleeps 4. It's got a kitchen. It's got a lounge. It's got a bathroom. And these prizes combined are worth over £100,000. That is an amazing prize package that one guaranteed winner is going to win. But you've got to be with a chance of winning. You've got to pick up the phone. You've got to get entering. It's so simple. I'm going to give you all the details you need. While these guys go absolutely crazy, go! Pick up the phone. Get entering. See you soon, girls.
Text price to 81119. Calls cost £2 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to the website. Entries cost £2. Call 09068 781119. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and phone number to DY21 PO Box 7558 Derby DE1 0NQ. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close on Friday the 10th of June at 3 p.m. Good luck.
Now, a dad in Hong Kong was forced to pay more than $4,000 after his 5-year-old boy knocked down a golden Teletubby at a toy store. He had stepped out to take a phone call and then he heard this crash behind him, looked round, there's his son, oh my Lord, who had shattered the 6-foot
Bless him, and he just literally knocked it, didn't he?
Yeah.
Film, he literally just stepped back.
Look, there's the CCTV footage. You see, he just leant back. He didn't do anything terrible.
Oh, you'd be mortified.
He just leant on it. I know.
I know. So they wanted to charge the dad thousands of pounds, and then there was this big hue and cry on the internet.
They should give the dad some money because that would have killed that little boy.
If it
all
gone
he
the other
did
way,
was lent on it. It should have been attached to the floor or something strapped around it to keep it safe from children. Children's toy shop. Then they should be.
Maybe they could ban children
from toy shops. Good
that would be a
idea.
good idea,
Yeah. I know, but I was going to say the brass neck of them. This is a brass Teletubby, isn't it?
Listen, if you go into an antique shop with your child and there are signs everywhere going, do not touch, delicate, fragile, whatever, and they break something, in my heart, I would go, that's my responsibility. I've got to pay for that. Provided it's not too expensive.
Whether you actually pay for it, but it'd be in your heart.
But that, as you say, should have been secured, and it's in a toy shop, so you're going to get kids coming in.
But if that was your kid, what would you say? Because they would come up to you and go, oh, look what your child has done.
I would have said, look, you could have damaged my grandson or my grandchild or my elevator. I said, it's your responsibility. You should pay me.
So that would be it, just do one.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll let a nice drink.
Yeah, you're not
Help and safety.
Well, speaking of costly bills, here's another one. Mother and daughter were left furious after they ordered 2 plates of food on holiday in Mykonos in Greece. They received a rather large bill. Well, you'll never believe this. It was a plate of calamari.
This plate, though.
Yeah, stand down. Another plate with lobster pasta. Quite posh, I would say.
Yeah, come on.
Salad and bread. Okay, what do you think they were charged?
Okay, so it's got to be outrageous amount. They're on the beach. It's Mykonos.
800
quid.
800.
She's been to Mykonos.
On the beach.
300 quid.
I don't know. I don't like lobster.
$1,640.
That's legalised
Did they have
mugging.
champagne or something with it?
No, apparently that was it.
That was it. That's all
They've
they
been
had.
mugged.
I know.
You
But when you go to these places, there's someone standing outside the door dragging you in. Come in, we've got lovely food in here, and you never think to look at the menu, do you?
Come on, rule number 1, look at the price. And also,
No sympathy,
particularly when I don't like lobster, if I'm honest.
Oh, I do.
But whenever you see lobster on a menu, it goes market price. And you think, well, that could be a five quid or 500. I'm never going to eat or order anything unless I know what the price is.
So where do your sympathies lie on that one then?
Well, they've been ripped off, haven't they? I mean, 100%. But those beach restaurants, you know, it happens all over the place. They charge you like 250 quid for a spaghetti bolognese.
But I'm just imagining they've had a few margaritas. It's really hot. The sun was on.
Buyer beware. You go in, you check the menu, and you see what the price is. If you want to pay the money, you pay the money. If you don't want to pay the money, you don't go in.
No, but
it's embarrassing when you've got to get up and walk out.
You're thinking about this very sensibly. I'm thinking about it. You're on holiday, how you could be really vulnerable to that. You've had a bottle of 2 of Prosecco, you've bit sunstroke.
Have you had Prosecco?
Look, there's a lovely fan and all this plants.
She's on one.
A nice man says,
Is it Mykonos?
come in. Oh, lobster. I love lobster. I once had lobster before. You fall in, you have another glass of wine. Oh, yeah, calamari.
Was this you? Was this you in the story?
I had calamari last week and it was €14. Yeah, come on. Oh, what's it going to be?
No, you know when you're not sitting in a €14 restaurant.
No, but
on the beach in Mykonos.
No, but I'm just...
You won't get a tap water for €14.
No, but I'm just
You're
putting myself... I'm putting myself
You're Shirley
there.
Valentine, aren't you?
And I'm going, oh, my God, I can imagine.
But it's what you do in that situation. Do you have the fight or not? Now, most times I would never have the fight because, as you know, I'm always the one to kind of back down.
Yeah, you're really quite wussy with it.
I am wussy, but on one occasion, actually, that really made me think, and I was on a holiday in Spain. It wasn't anything like that money, but, you know, it was just a rubbish meal. The food was terrible. It was cold when it came. All came at different times. Everyone, like 3 of us had finished our meal. The other one was still waiting for it. It was just a disaster.
Moody waiter?
The whole 9 yards. And it was New Year's Eve. Hug me.
Did they apologise?
No, they were really sulky about the whole thing. And I said, so they brought the bill, just the regular bill. And I said, I'm not paying for that. The meal was absolutely awful. And I went through all the things that were terrible. And he kind of spaced up to me. And I just saw red.
Had you complained through the meal?
Yeah, I mean, it was terrible, the whole thing.
And Ian was there.
And Ian was there. So Ian is like shrinking under the table. The kids actually got up and left and went down the street, and I could see them sitting like that. And the guy says he was going to call the police. I says, call the police. Go on then, call the police, call the police. And I stood at the side, and I just thought, I'm going to check where I am legally. I was nowhere legally. And in fact, 2 weeks ago, a couple had been put in prison because they'd done the same thing. I said, bring the card machine.
It's the back down is just so awful, isn't it?
I know, backing down.
But it's really funny because that's not what I know of you. I know of you sort of shirk. You sort of...
I know you're usually the one.
You look about 9 if I say something.
You can do it fairly. I always say, if something's terrible, and I go, that's awful, and then they apologise, and I go, that's fine. I'm sure it'll be reflected in the bill.
I wouldn't say
you're
that.
cool.
I wouldn't say that.
Cool.
I just say, I don't want any discount or anything, but it's really horrible. I'm sorry, but it's really disgusting.
That's it for today. Tomorrow we are catching up with Peter Andre. We will see you at 12:30. I haven't seen Peter for ages. I'm looking forward to that. Have a lovely afternoon.